and it felt like the ultimate betrayal. Need more whiskey before I do this shit. Today's video, as you've seen so far, is going to be a mixture of ASMR and a story time. This specific story time I knew was going to be hard for me to tell. I think it will benefit people, especially young women starting out in their first relationship. What I was drinking in the beginning is a mixture of vanilla whiskey, Jim Beam whiskey, and butterscotch beer. This is what the cap looks like. It tastes amazing, like the butter beer at Universal Studios in the Harry Potter parks. It's very close to that. I've had that before. Because I'm from Florida and I've only been to Universal and Disney World about 5,000 bajillion times. It's a real number. My story time today is going to be about my first relationship, which occurred when I was 18 years old. I had just turned 18. I will admit I was out at a bar in the summer with a friend of mine who wasn't the best influence. She's not a friend anymore. Just out to have a drink and sat at the bar. It was very dead. We live in a college town. A guy sat next to me with his friend, which I later came to know as his roommate. I'm gonna drink some of this whiskey drink before we get into the real story. I met my first boyfriend. We're gonna call him Todd because that's very different from what his actual name is. I'm not trying to defame someone here. I'm not trying to make them look bad. I'm just trying to share my story. Realize that your first relationship isn't gonna be your last. So some Lana Del Rey music video, okay? Lana Del Rey romanticizes relationships. She's been really good recently about talking about the negative side of relationships and her heartbreak. Go check out her new album, Norman Rockwell. Anyway, I met him at a bar and he talked to me, seemed really interested in me, and he just seemed like some tall, goofy guy. Little did I know he would ruin my life for a good year. Todd, not his real name, but we're gonna call him that. Todd was my first boyfriend, and I met him at this bar. I took him home from this bar because he seemed too drunk to drive and I had only had a few sips of a beer, and I thought, why not offer him a ride home? I thought he was cute. Before he got out of the car, he looked at me, expecting to get a different kind of ride that night. And I wasn't that way. I had never been in a relationship. I think at this point I hadn't even had my first kiss yet. The next day he texts me and he asks to go out to get some food. And I say, okay. For the next 3 months, everything about this relationship that we were building was amazing. He seemed like a really funny, goofy, not the brightest crayon in the box guy, but he made me laugh and he made me smile and feel things that I had never felt before. And then the bad started. At the end of the summer, he invited me to a party at his frat house. Let me just say that we hadn't defined the relationship, but everything that he said to me and everything I would say to him was constituent. It kind of added up to being in a relationship, being in an exclusive relationship. I know he hadn't seen anyone physically that summer other than me because we spent every day together. We hung out every day. We went hiking. We went out to eat all the time. We were just hanging out in his room, watching movies. Even though I felt like we didn't have so much in common, I just fell in love with the feeling that he was giving me at this frat party he was throwing. He was very drunk by the time I had gotten there. I worked at a restaurant at this time, and I worked a double this specific day, and I still wanted to come and see him after, and I wanted to socialize with his friends, even though my feet. But after this 13-14 hour workday, I came to his party to see him and spend time with him. He is so drunk, he can't even stand up straight. I was talking to one of his roommates and we were just talking about school and life. I need to mention too that he was 23 at the time that I met him, and I was 18. So I was just transitioning to be a freshman in college and he was a senior. And that's a red flag in itself. No senior in college would legitimately be trying to involve themselves with a freshman, knowing very well that at the end of the year, he's going to be going off and working on his career and just living life. My naive ass thought something like this could work out, especially because I had never felt like this before. I truly felt no one would make me feel this way ever again. But that same night, after I was done talking to his roommate, I had lost him. I couldn't find Todd. And Victoria finds Todd out in front of the frat house as she is leaving to go meet her friend at the bar, kissing a girl. When I saw, it's been 3 years since this relationship and I haven't really thought about this. Okay, it's been 3 years since this relationship and I haven't really thought about this. Need more whiskey before I do this shit. When I saw him kissing another girl, need more whiskey before I do this shit. It felt like my life was over because I really felt a lot for him. And it felt like the ultimate betrayal. You have to understand that even though this guy wasn't that great, this was my first relationship and I was just dead set on it, working out for a long time. I'll explain more stories to show you what a real fucking winner this guy was, but I still get emotional about it because what this man was saying to me and what he was portraying and saying to all of his friends and everyone else was two completely different things. And it made me, in the end, it made me look crazy. It made me look delusional because he couldn't up his mind. And he couldn't be straight with me, and he couldn't be straight with his friends, and he couldn't be straight with himself on how he felt. I went up to him kissing this girl and I tapped him on the back. And he looks at me, slurring his words so bad. I go, "Hey, I see you're kissing that girl there. What the f?" And he looks at me and he goes, "This was just a summer thing, you know. You knew what this was." Slurring his words, saying other things that I couldn't even understand. That's all I needed to hear. I told him to have a good night. I remember just breaking down. I wasn't drunk. I had just gotten done from a 13-14 hour shift at work. I was exhausted and I was so angry that I came here to this party to support him and see him. After that night, I wanted to end the relationship. And you know what? I ignored him for a good 2 weeks. I didn't text him, and he texted me so many times. He became kind of erratic and started being like, "I can't even look at myself in the mirror. I'm so ashamed of what I did to you. I can't even remember last night." Shit like that, trying to make him be the victim because of his alcoholism, because of what he drank, impacting him and making his decisions for him. And you know what? That was a big thing in our relationship. He drank a lot. And when Todd drank, he would do things that he would say to me that he later regretted. And him saying that he regretted it would make me come back to him, and it would make me feel bad for him. It would make me understand him when I should have just laid my foot down and said, "No, I'm worth more than this. You can't just blame alcohol for cheating on me in front of me multiple times. You're worth so much. Like, no matter how much you love this guy, you can't change yourself for him. You can't just sit by and let things happen that you know are wrong because of his excuses." I lost myself in that relationship. My advice to anyone watching this is don't settle. Whether you're a man or a girl, don't settle for someone who makes you feel like you need to go out of your way to try and be someone different for them and make exceptions for their behavior, because they're a f***ing asshole and you deserve so much better than that. Alright guys, it's time for me to say bye, but I really appreciate you watching this video. It was emotional, and I hope that anyone who sees this may have learned a lesson or two from it. Please stay tuned. Offer some suggestions, comment down below for some future videos. Thanks.